Guys, you never forget your first. And by that, I mean legendaries. I was thinking about that earlier today, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to do a video talking about which legendary, non-void, from each faction would I want as my first legendary from a shard on a new account. So starting out in Bannerlords, not a whole lot of great options in my opinion personally. I would choose Stultus Dragonbane as my first legendary option. He is a fantastic defense-based damage dealer. He self-buffs, decreased speed or decreased crit damage depending on the stats of the target. He's got a 2-time hitter AoE stun, a 65% chance when booked, as well as a 2-time hitting A1 that decreases turn meter if the target is under any debuffs. And he also reflects weaken, decreased defense, and poison back to the attacker and increases his damage by 5% for each debuff on the target. Very solid. I have him. He clears so much content for me solo. Dragonheart and Nether Spider, just to name two. Hold up, click the link in the description right now to get a free Uugo as well as 2 more free epic champions as you level up. Here are the steps to get yours. Step 1, log out of Plarium Play on PC and uninstall. Step 2, click the link in the description and register with a brand new email. Step 3, launch raid and complete the tutorial. Step 4, go to your inbox and claim your first champ. This is an amazing account start to raid, so click the link and start now. On to the High Elves. It was actually a really close call between Lysandra, Athorion, and my choice, Lanatharil. I know a lot of you guys probably would not agree with me on this, but I think that he would be a great first legendary because he has a full team ally attack. Yes, it's on a 4-turn cooldown, but that's actually pretty standard outside of the faction unity guy for the dwarves. He also buffs with increased crit damage, so you're just doing free extra damage. He's got shields for the whole team, which is very nice, with an AoE attack on the A2. And he's got a A1 that destroys max HP, places a shield on the ally with the lowest HP. Kreela Witch Arm has that A1, and it's a nice little buffer to create some damage reduction. And then he inflicts 20% more damage against targets under shield. Very nice kit. I would love to have him as my first legendary out of a shard for this faction. Sacred Order was a toughie, and I'm actually going to be controversial and say Alice would be the legendary that I would want to see most on a brand new account out of the Sacred Orders because Lockout. Lockout is so strong. She also has turn meter control on that A2. She has a really hard-hitting A3 that will strike twice on 2 separate targets if the initial target is killed. She's got buff duration decrease on the A1, and she resets herself as well as does more damage, and she's got attack in all battles. She's got good stats. Very competent legendary that I would love to have in the beginning of an account. Shout out to Corvus the Corruptor, fantastic protector, but think the lockout from Alice as well as her damage and buff duration decrease is just too good to ignore. Obviously for barbarians, I would want Armons coming out first. He just makes all wave-based content irrelevant, as well as the majority of arena. If that was the guy coming out of your first shard on a new account, yeah, you're set for life, effectively. He's got lockout on the A1, turn meter, steal, and stuns on the A2. He's got sheep and buff strip on the A3, as well as additional lockout and turn meter on the passive skill. He's got a speed in arena, fantastic champion. We all know and hate / love him. For the Ogren tribe, we have Stock the Broken, a semi-recent fusion. I wish I had gone for him. I didn't. I regret it. He's very good. The A1 attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 50% chance of increasing the duration of all poisons and HP burns by 1 turn. A2 attacks all enemies 2 times, activates poison burns and continuous heals. Second hit has a 100% chance of destroying each target max HP by 3% for each poison and HP burn debuff activated on them by this skill. Stacks up to 60% and then fills the turn meters of all allies by 20%. Very strong move moves for an early game account. On the A3, AoE, more continuous heals as well as poisons and weaken. He's great. If you pair him with a burner, he's ignoring block damage and unkillable. Whenever allies attack enemies with destroyed max HP, which he creates with one of his skills, increases damage dealt by 10%. And then he has a speed in all battles aura by 20%. Great base stats. He would be a game changer, even now for my current account, let alone if he was my first legendary. On to the Lizardmen, we have Dracomorph. I still don't have an AoE weaken, let alone decrease defense and weaken on the same skill. He also places it so that he doesn't have to worry about affinity. Does massive damage with this A1 and A2 for poisons in a single target situation, and then an A1 that deals supposedly a crap ton of damage. I would love to have this champion. Probably my most wanted Lizardman legendary, to be honest, outside of Voids. On to the Skinwalkers. This was another one that was kind of tough. I've used Loriaka. She's pretty good. Bambus is solid for early on, but I'm going to go with Snicktrack. I had him as my first legendary on one of my alternate accounts, and he put in so much work. I was shocked. And this was before Chimera, when he was made even better for trials. He has decreased attack on the A1 that he will place before the attack if they are under leech. He has AoE decreased speed and a shield for all allies. The shield is protected if it is placed while there are enemies under leech. The A3, ally protection on everybody, as well as reflect damage and a heal for this champion. And then on the passive, whenever an ally under reflect damage is attacked, places the leech that works so well in his kit. Reflects 50% of the damage this champion receives back to the attacker, and increases the amount of damage reflected by 20% from reflect damage buffs placed by allies. Incredible kit. HP in all battles by 33%. Low base speed, but he's got great base stats otherwise. I would love to have this guy even now. Orcs, obviously it has to be Artak. AoE burns, burn activation with decreased attack, burn duration increase on the A1. Everything's an AoE. Great for stun sets, great for cursed set, you name it. And then he scales his damage by destroying his own max HP whenever a burn activates. It's very solid. I wish I could build him for more damage than I can personally, but I would kill for this guy to come out as my first legendary. Shout out to Kreela Witcharm. She was actually my first. She is a fantastic legendary. Shield on the A1, just like Lana Thurl. Attacks one enemy, places a stun, and then teams up with 3 random allies. And then on the A3, places increase attack and increase crit rate on all allies for 3 turns, then attacks all enemies. Very good kit. Love her to death. Still use her to this day. On to the Demon Spawn. Demon Spawn was another tough faction. Thought about Duchess, thought about Cat, thought about Helicath, but in the end, I'm taking Prince Kymar. Reset is something that I have never had on my account, ever. Any alt, any account, never had it. Yeah, that A3, resetting all cooldowns of all ally skills and then filling turn meter by all allies except this champion by 20%. Yes, it's on a 6-turn cooldown. No, I do not care. The A2 attacks all enemies, full buff strip, and then places sleep debuff for 1 turn. Sleep sucks, but that's okay. It's more of a nice to have than anything. Then the A1 attacks all enemies, places a poison if this attack is critical. Fantastic champion. Speed in arena battles by 30%. Great base stats. I've even come across Kymars that can nuke, so he's one to watch out for. Would love to have him. Undead Hordes. There was a bit of controversy between myself and a content creator, a friend of mine, between Morrigan and my choice, UDK. I wish that I could have been playing the game back when he was a login champion. I am sad every time I face him in arena at the fact that I don't have him. He's got A1 provoke, increases chance against legendary champions. I actually didn't know that. And then places fears and decreased attacks on the A2. And then he places shield and continuous heals on all allies for 2 turns, proportionate to his defense on the A3. And then he's got the 2 awesome to die, eats the first hit of each skill. So annoying to work around, but I would love to have had it, especially starting out an account. That would be huge. And then on the didn't need him, increases this champion's stats for each dead ally. Fantastic. 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 I would love to have a UDK. Love to have a UDK. Dark Elves, not a very strong faction. All the best legendaries you get for free, being Vizix, Mithrala, and of course Lydia. I am actually going to take Queen Ava for my first. She's easier to build because she has increased crit built into her kit, so you only have to find 65% crit rate in your gear. And then she's got heal reduction and block buffs on the A1, AoE, block revive on a 2-time hitter that ignores 50% of the target's defense, a single target on the A2, and then AoE A3 that decreases target's turn meter by 20% and resets the cooldown on each of this champion's skills if any target is killed. Fantastic. She's got good base stats, almost 1700 base attack. I know she smacks. Just put her on the A1 and campaign farmer, which would be great for starting a new account. Would not complain at all about a Queen Ava. Knights Revenant. I had a lot of issues trying to figure out who I wanted for this faction, and after talking to a fellow content creator, I had decided on Calvalax. It was a really close call between Calvalax and Walking Tomb Drain, but we went with Calvalax because poisons are so much better, as well as the fact that he has enemy max HP, which is just invaluable. The only two sources I have of that on my account is Royal Guard and Cold Heart. I would love to have legendary enemy max HP. It does a lot with poisons, increases their duration on the A1 and heals himself for each poison on the target. The A2 places up to 4 hits depending on how many poisons are on the target. That move smacks. And then AoE on the A3 that damage increases according to the number of poison debuffs on each target. Fantastic. Places 4 poisons at the start of a round and has a chance to place them at the start of each of his turn. Will convert poisons placed on him into continuous heals. Has speed in all battles by 19%. Again, shout out to Walking Tomb Drain for having irresistible burn as well as nice healing. He's not what we're after. Not quite what we're after. Dwarves, obviously, Newt would be the prize. Still want my own Newt for my main account. He's got excellent turn meter control as well as just crowd control on the A1. Good for both difficulties of Fire Knight forever. A2 does counterattack, weaken, and decrease attack on an AoE. Fantastic. And then the Blessed Bash, the triple hitter, built-in cruelty, built-in lifesteal, enemy max HP skill. And then he deals full damage when he counterattacks instead of like most people who do 75% chance or 75% damage. Great base stats. Everyone wants a Newt. You can never have too many Newts. For Shadowkin, I went back and forth between Ninja, but eventually I settled on Michinaki because I've heard that he's just an absolute monster, not only in Hydra, but also in Demon Lord, which is such a priority in early progression. The A1 has a chance at placing burn. The A2 places decreased defense and decreased attack if the target is under hex. The A3 attacks all enemies 2 times. First hit strips buffs, second hit places hex, and then has a 50% chance of joining an ally's attack when they are attacking an enemy under hex. He's defense based, so he's going to be tanky. He does good damage. Would love to have a Michinaki. And finally, the biggest debate I had for this video, the Sylvan Watchers, my favorite faction aesthetically in this game, and has one of my favorite legendaries in the game in Grand Oak Padraig. Love this guy. He is OP in the majority of content in the game, but I am actually going to go with Elva Autumnborn for the Sylvan Watchers. Does continuous heal on the ally with the lowest HP on the A1. Full cleanse, block debuffs, increase speed on all allies on the A2. Does a revive, 40% HP, 50% turn meter, and places increased defense and increased attack on that ally for 2 turns. And then on the passive, heals each ally by 10% of their max HP at the start of their turn and places Perfect Veil for 1 turn on the ally with the lowest HP at the end of this champion's turn. Speed in all battles, love to see it. Great base speed. She is fantastic. I would love to have her. Well, guys, that's one legendary from every faction. Let me know what you think of the list. Let me know who you would take instead. If you guys actually want to take the time out, I would love to see your entire list, one for each faction. I think that would be awesome to see, to compare notes, see where our heads are at, see where our similarities are, see where our differences are. That's how we build a community, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Can't wait to see what's next on the channel. Can't wait to see what's next for you guys. I've been Kurodor. Stay tanky.